Okay, perfect. Awesome. So we're going to kind of keep going with our fractions questions from last week. So one thing that we want to start looking at is using applying what we've been looking at in word questions.
Yeah.
So we've been looking at how to kind of solve all our percentages questions, and now we're just having a look at different types of questions you might get. So before we start, let's quickly just go over the really key ideas here. So one thing that we've been looking at as well is we've looked at fractions and decimals. And how do we go from fractions or decimals to percentages?
Times by 100.
Yeah, here we're multiplying by 100, and then this way back we're dividing by 100. Okay, so now if we think about how do we go between fractions and decimals themselves. So if I've got a fraction, how do I get my answer as a decimal? It's a little bit trickier.
Divide.
Yeah, so a fraction is like a division sum that hasn't been calculated, okay? So if we have a fraction, let's say we have 1 over 2, for example, to actually find that as a decimal, we actually do that division. So we do 1 divided by 2, and that gives us 0.5, okay? And if we want to go backwards, we instead of writing our answer, we write our question as a division sum, okay? So we're going to have to go between fractions and decimals a little bit today as well. Okay, perfect. So we're going to go straight into some questions. We're going to start off where we left off last time, and we'll go into straight into these examples here. Okay. So in an election, there are a total of 80,000 voters, and there are two candidates, candidate X and candidate Y. 80% of the voters go to polls, out of which 60% vote for X. How many votes does Y get? So this one is maybe a little bit confusingly worded. So this part here means 80% of people vote.
Okay.
Okay? Yeah. Does that make sense? Okay, so we have 8,000 voters, so 80,000 people who could vote. 80% of those people vote. Out of which 60% vote for candidate X. And we want to work out how many people vote for candidate Y.
So 60 people voted for. We need to find 60% of 8.
Not 60% of 80,000. How many people voted?
20. We need to find 40%.
Of what number?
Of 80,000.
Not of 80,000. So not of that. So 80,000 is the total number of people where could have voted. Okay? Now, not all of those people voted. Only 80% of those voted. And then 80% of the ones who voted, 60% of those people voted for X. Okay? So not 80,000 isn't 60% of 80,000. First we need to find out how many people voted, then we need to find out how many people voted for X.
Yeah.
So how do we work out the first step here?
So how does that, don't understand this? Because 80,000 is 60%.
Not quite. So what we need to do here is, first of all, before we work out how many people voted for candidate X, we need to work out how many people voted, okay? So the problem in this question isn't just how many people voted for candidate X. We start off by thinking about how many people voted. So we need to first of all find 80% of 80,000.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay. So this is what we do. $664,000.
Yeah, 64,000, perfect. Okay, so we have 64,000, that's how many people voted. So now how many people voted for candidate X?
We have to find 20%.
No, sorry, how many people voted for candidate Y out of 64,000?
We have to subtract it by 80,000.
Not quite.
88.
Let's have a read through that question again.
Subtracted by.
No, subtract it. So what we're doing, we have a bunch of people, then we're saying only some of them voted, and then we're saying only some of them voted for person X. Okay? So we have all of the people, we've now restricted it to how voted. Now what we need to do is we need to restrict it how many people voted for person X. So what we can see is that 60% of those who voted for X. So we're not taking 60% of this number
We need to
here.
find 60% of 80,000.
Not of 80,000, of 64,000.
Okay.
Because not all of those 80,000 people voted. So this is the number of people. This is the number of people who voted. Okay? So if you didn't vote, you couldn't vote for candidate X.
So 60% of 64,000.
Yeah. Does that make sense why it's of 64,000?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah? Yeah. That isn't quite correct.
This is a 3. No, this is a 8.
Okay.
This is a 8. Yeah, this is a 3.
This one?
Yeah, this is a 3.
This is a 3, yeah. That's fine. Yeah, perfect. So 38,400 is our total. So we had to repeat those steps twice,
Yeah.
okay? Because the first step we had to take the 80%, and then the second step we had to take 60%.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, let's try one more. Let's try the next. Okay. So the cricket team won 60% of total matches it played during the year. If it lost 24 matches in all and no matches were drawn, how can we find the number of matches played during the year?
Okay, how do we do this?
So they won 60% of their
360. They played.
Why 360?
Because that's the year. 365.
So they're not. So we're not going to know kind of day by day or anything like that. So the total matches, they lost 24 matches and no matches drawn. So how many matches did they win? Sorry, what percentage of their matches they won? they won 60%. Okay? What percentage did they lose?
24% of 60% of 24.
Right? What percentage did they lose? They didn't draw any
40.
matches. Sorry?
40%.
Yeah. Lost 40%. Now, how many matches did they lose?
24.
Yeah. So they lost 24 matches. So what kind of question is this? Are we finding a percentage?
Reverse
or are we finding...
percentage.
Yeah, we're finding exactly right. We're finding a reverse percentage. So we know a value, but we don't know the full amount. We want to find the full amount. So how do we find the full amount here?
Eight. 20% will be 12. So add 12, it will be 60. So 36. 36.
Yeah, so 36 is 60%. So how many is the total?
36 at 24.
Yeah, which is? Yeah.
60.
So the total number of matches they played is 60. Okay, awesome. So what would the percentage multiplier be? So if we wanted to use the percentage multiplier method, we know that 40% 24. What would the percentage multiplier be for 40%?
0.4.
Yeah, perfect. So it would be 0.4 would be our percentage multiplier.
Yeah. Then we're going to divide.
What do we need to divide?
Divide 0.4 by 60.
No, quite. So it'd be 24, which is 40%, divided by 0.4. I'm not sure why this is wrong.
What's it?
Okay. So to use the percentage multiplier method, we would do 24 divided. I don't know why it's like this.
What's that?
24 divided by 0. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so
Yeah.
so
And that would also give us 60.
yeah.
Okay.
So 60 matches.
Yeah, 60 matches is the answer. So this method works as well. So it's just to make sure we kind of recap that percentage multiplier there as well.
Yeah. Okay. So next question.
Okay, next question. Okay. So Jack bought 4 dozen eggs at $10 per dozen. 6 eggs were broken. So a dozen means 12.
Yeah, 12.
Okay. 6 eggs were broken. What percentage of his money went to waste?
50%.
Not 50%. He bought 4 dozen eggs.
So 40 pounds.
So think about the eggs first. How many eggs has he got in total?
6 times 4.
Not 6 times. Oh yeah, sorry. So a dozen is 12. So not 6 times 4.
And 4 times 12.
Yeah. So he's got eggs. The total number of eggs is 4 times 12. And how many eggs has he got?
48.
So he's got 48 eggs in total. Okay?
And then we subtract. It will be 42.
Yeah, so 42 good ones.